Sokani X60 RGB. Nice little light I've been playing around with. It's supposed to be, I think, 80 watts of output, even though it says 60. Or maybe it is 60, but I think it's 80 watts. This one came in a small little set, so you get this light here. It comes with this power adapter, which has a shorter cord, which I'll address later on in the video, that people have been complaining about. This cord is really short, so it ends up dangling when you're holding it up high on stands, but it has a long AC cable. So there's that, that's how you power the light. It does have other accessories where you can power it with V-mount or Sony batteries, MPF batteries. It has its own adapter. I didn't get that version, but you can power this remotely. Then this one comes with a really nice bag here that's perfect size for the light. And inside the bag, you have your bag strap. Here is a reflector it comes with, and then it has some other power cables adapters that if you want to go international. So that's the bag. It's well made for being under $200 for what I purchased it. There's other sales that you can get. I think it ranges from about maybe $180 to $250 US. And this is an RGB and the full Kelvin scale. This comes with a lot of accessories, with the exception of the cap here to protect the COB element. But what the instructions or the advertisements have been saying about this light is, see, there's this glass. There's 1, 2, 3 screws here, and then there's a glass element that's protecting the COB here. And I guess that is in place of a traditional cap to protect it. Here's a cap that Godox makes, and it does fit on here because it's a Bowens mount, but with this particular design and this Godox COB protector, it gets stuck and it will not work. And that's because there are latches to secure and lock in the Bowens mount, where this particular cheap $10 hood cap gets stuck because this cap has openings right here on the top, and on the top is where the metal latches are that locks it in, and you have to remove these screws in order to take the cap off. So you can't even use these cheap caps on here. You have to buy some other types of caps. It's not the case when you're using the reflector. Here's the reflector that you can screw on here. This reflector does not have any openings on the bottom, so that's way it's never going to catch. If you have a Godox SL60W, you can see how in this one, Godox designs their Bowens mount mechanism, and they do it a little differently. The latch here, the latch to lock it in is at the bottom and not at the top. So when you screw in their Godox caps, their cheap caps here, it locks in fine and you could take it on and off. But this does not work on the Sokani. And I have yet to find, I ordered one from Westcott. Westcott also makes a cap. That's coming in the mail, and I think that might work. But for now, you just have to leave this bare open if you are transporting this anywhere. That right there is the RGB mode. Let me get off the RGB. And then now this is a normal, oh, nope. There, now you have, this is the normal Kelvin scale. That can go, let me go down though, let me drop this, go down to 5%, which is still blowing out on this camera, but 5%. So you have a full Kelvin scale that goes from 2800 Kelvin and all the way to 10,000 Kelvin in this mode. It does look like, in order to go all the way to the 2800 and the 10,000 Kelvin scale, I think it's adding some of the RGB lights in order to get that blue or that yellow. So it's not a color accurate 28K and 2800K and 10,000. But once you stay within 3256, I believe from what I've researched online, that is the more accurate colors, or the CRI. So that is the Kelvin scale. It also does special effects, but this video, what I'm doing this video for is not to review the Sokani. It's to compare the Sokani to some of the other brands out there that are using the exact same design. And then in this video, I'm gonna compare it specifically to the AMBITFUL FL80 RGB. Let me lock this in here. If you could see this side by side, these lights are identical. And what it appears to be, from my point of view, is that these lights have the same engineering, but in China, or wherever this is coming from, these companies are just rebranding them. And in this case, the AMBITFUL one, it's red. It's a red release button up here as opposed to the blue, and they have their branding AMBITFUL instead of Sokani. There's also another one that I forgot. It also starts with an S, but there's another brand that has the same exact light. And what's interesting is that since it looks like there's no intellectual property protection on this design, so you have all of these companies just using the same exact light with their branding, or it's the same company with multiple smaller names for the same company. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe somebody else knows. But this, I'm just gonna compare and show you how these lights are exactly the same. And I'm leaning towards the Sokani because that brand has been around just a little longer than AMBITFUL. I have never heard of AMBITFUL before, but I'm gonna plug these in. And when I plug them in, this has the same style of adapter as well. It goes from the bottom. The problem with this adapter is that it dangles. And then ICANN has this product, it's called the Power Grip version 2, PWR-GP-02. This is about $20. And what it does is it secures the power brick adapter with this mount that can mount on C-stands, which is what I have it on here, or light stands. It can screw short enough to fit on a light stand. And this way you can hold your power adapter and plug it into the light here without this having to dangle. See, on the AMBITFUL one, I have it running down and I have to wrap it around in order for it to not pull on the light. It sucks having to purchase another accessory, a $20 accessory, just to have this function correctly, because other brands, their power bricks, they have a much longer cable, so you don't have to do that. But these cheaper companies don't have that. They have this for some reason, and they won't go to a longer cable. I guess it's to do with price or design, or they don't care how users actually use their product. But I got this thing, the Power Grip, and it seems to have solved that problem. Okay, now both lights are plugged in. I'm gonna turn both of them on now. It does take a good 20 seconds or so for the lights to turn on. But then once they're on, they're both on. So let me go to, I'll go to 5% brightness, and this is on the Kelvin scale. So now this is both at 5600 Kelvin, and this is at 5% and the other one's at 5%. They look identical to me in brightness. I think they're just identical lights. I don't notice a difference. I'm gonna stop down on my lens, or I'll put on an ND filter here. Throw on an ND filter. Okay, now I'm at f11 with my ND filters engaged, and you can see the LED lights here, or the COB with the LED configurations. I have them both at 1% now. You can see those two little dots, they look like owl eyes. You can see the different circles within the COB chip, and there are different patterns. I'm gonna go to the RGB right now, and I'll show you what that looks like. RGB at 100. I'm going to go down to 1%, and let's go the hue. I'll turn it all the way to 0 hue, which is red. And then on this side, I'll also switch to the RGB mode. That's at 100, 1%, and that's also red. So now we're looking at two spooky eyes. Let me go up in brightness. The saturation is already at 100. Let me go to 10% there. And on this side, on the Sokani, I'll go to 10, but then I'll also change up the RGB. Go more green. There you go. That's what that looks like. Okay, I'll turn this back to the wall here. Okay, I'm shooting on a Panasonic CX10, which is a really small chip camcorder, and I'm currently at 148 shutter speed. I'm shooting at 24p or 23.98, 420. The gain's at 0 dBs, and I'm shooting at f4. So let me turn off the lights I have here in my little room, so I can just show you what the colors are doing. I have this set to daylight white balance. So this is gonna be better to get the hue, the RGBs. So this one I have red, this one has green, complementary colors. Yeah, these are the exact same style of lights. I don't know any difference with these lights. They're quiet. I can't hear the fan at all. Let me raise up the gain here. Let me go to 50% on both of these lights. Using the RGB is about 1 to 2 stops. It decreases in brightness, the output. So if you're going to the Kelvin scale, it does increase by 1 to 2 stops of light. But here, it's perfect for low light situations. But if you're trying to match a lot of light, this is not going to work as much. I don't have the reflector on. The reflector adds about another stop of light. At least another stop of light if you have the reflector. And let me put the reflector on just to add some more character. Put more character and cutoff to the lights. So without the reflector, the light spreads pretty wide, and then the reflector here almost it's like a snoot. Turn down the brightness here and I'll put it there. You go. Yeah, these are really fun lights, small lights. And because they're so cheap, you can get a bunch of these and add a lot of atmosphere to smaller spaces. This isn't really good for stage lighting. It's not powerful at all to shoot in daylight to compete against the sun. To large spaces, if you're in a warehouse or if you're trying to light up a big space, this is not the kind of lights to get. You need much more powerful lights. But for a small room, 300 square foot room, small house, a small apartment, these are really cool to get. They're a really good tool. And it seems like since they're the same thing, just when you're searching for these online, I get them at Amazon. The Sokani, and if you're trying to decide, oh, what's the difference between the Sokani or the AMBITFUL or that other brand, or there might be more brands in the future that take the same design, it seems like they're all fine, they're all good. The Sokani came first, so I would go with the Sokani, but I'll put links to the AMBITFUL as well in the description of this video, and I'll also put the links to buy that ICANN grip holder. You could be used for any, it doesn't have to be used for these lights. But yeah, so I'm liking these. It doesn't seem to be having a difference. These are also controllable by an app, and I bet the app controls both of them, even though they're different brands. But I don't use the app, so I could test that later on maybe, but I don't use the app at all. I just dial it in the back. But these are great. I like these lights. Upon closer inspection, I just realized that the reflectors of the Sokani and the AMBITFUL are different. It looks like the inside reflector part of it is the same, or I think it's the same, but the shape is slightly different. The Sokani, this is the Sokani reflector that it comes with, and it's bigger and it's a smoother, glossier texture, whereas the AMBITFUL one is thinner in diameter a little bit on the Bowens mount side, and it's more of a matte finish. I don't know how this shows up on camera, but yeah, this kind of shows up on camera. This is the Sokani on the right side. It's darker and it's a little bigger. And the AMBITFUL one is more of a matte finish. It looks like it takes fingerprints more. They both work. Here's the AMBITFUL light. And I could put them on both because this is a Bowens mount. So that's the Sokani's. Then I could just take this part off, and then here's the AMBITFUL. Yeah. So there's a difference right there. Besides the branding, it does look like the reflectors are different.